There are some things that I will just give you, because we are in a relationship, we are married, we are doing life together, but there may be a reason why the spouse may be withholding some of that vulnerability. Maybe that person just has never been really vulnerable and tapped into certain emotions that they have, or allowed themselves to experience certain emotions. And so doing that with you because they've never done it with themselves.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a podcast where we talk about marriage matters because
marriage matters.
And here's an oldie but a goodie. Our goal each week is to come on and give you tips and tricks.
Okay, let's do it.
To make your relationships better, to enhance.
Yes.
How does this? There's a saying. I'm gonna try. Let me say. Don't stop improving until the good becomes better, and the better becomes. I'm gonna look it up and come with it next week.
All right.
But anyway, the premise of this statement is just always be growing, always be improving, always be trying to be the best version of yourself.
That is correct.
We help couples
become the better versions of themselves.
The best version of themselves.
Thank you.
Help individuals. That's our value statement. That's not all of it. That's some of it. Shout out to OL and Sway and Marriedpreneur.
Yes.
Anyway, if you're watching for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined, as always, by my beautiful, you got your Parisian shirt on there.
My art work on my shirt.
Yeah. Tell people your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good. I distracted you. That's all right.
Did. My name's Tanya Coleman, guys. Welcome to Marriage Matters.
So this is Marriage Matters. So we're going to just kind of jump into, before we jump into the topic, we've been using the Anatomy of Marriage app. Hopefully you have been doing the same thing. It's just a great app. It has a lot of different things, the clearing structure. We kind of talked about that. There's a lot of great tools for people in relationships, and
specifically married couples.
Right? It's called the Anatomy of Marriage, right?
Yeah.
So we've been using their conversation starters to just ask each other questions on the podcast, just to maybe find out something that we didn't know about each other, or remind each other
something that you don't know about.
Yeah, or just remind each other about things. Right. And it's just a great way to get conversation started because, sometimes, it's like I was listening to a podcast this morning. They were like, after 30 years, we've pretty much said everything that we gonna say. So we could just sit there in silence. So this just helps you to do that. So with that being said, let's go.
All right. So today's topic is going to be our story. Okay. So first question for you. How are we different?
How are we different? So how are we different? I think we're different in that it's weird because I'm when it comes to certain things, I'm more like structured. I'll say I'm more structured, but I'm more non-serious. I'll say it that way. I don't know if that's
what do you mean structured?
Like as far as having things organized and
So you're trying to say I'm not organized?
I guess so. Not that you're not organized, but okay, if you go to my side of the bed, you look at my nightstand, you look at your nightstand.
I have more things.
Okay. If that's what you want to call it, okay. But that's what I mean when I say it's like I like things very neat and in their place.
I like things neat in their place too. But I think sometimes I just need to slow my life down and
Okay, so I'll say it this way. No, I'm going to say that may be. Anyway, let me answer my question. You all up in me. This is what I see.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
But I tend to be the silly one. I say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think we're different. Whereas you tend to be, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you do. I mean, sometimes it's like, you know.
You're
less organized than me.
Mm-hmm.
But you're more serious than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you tend to be more like, you know, all right, boy, that's enough. You know, I get a lot of that.
I don't see that.
You do say, maybe not boy, but okay, that's enough or something like that.
Okay.
That's how we're different. But we make it work.
We do make it work.
Okay. Maybe I should ask you the same question, but I'll do another one.
Okay. I think I hit the button, so.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, I hit it again.
Okay.
Let me see. Tell me about a time when you felt the most loved by me.
Not right now. No, I'm joking.
Touche.
A time when I felt the most loved by you.
Yeah.
I feel loved by you, like, you know, often, you know, my nightly ask. I'll have a nightly ask because, you know, I can't lotion the back of my back in the middle. And so I always ask you to do that. And you do it without getting frustrated or annoyed, or at least you don't.
I don't show frustration or annoyance, but sometimes not with the lotioning. But you know one thing that just like, I'm like,
when I asked you to go give me some socks.
Yes. I'm like, now wasn't she just in the closet and she knows she gonna get cold? And that's like this woman, she wants to have a 30-pound, how heavy is that weighted blanket? Is it 25 pounds or something like that?
I don't know. You bought it. I didn't ask for like the heaviest thing in the store.
But you still like, you like weighted blankets.
Right. It could have been 10 or 15
But
pounds.
that's besides the point. So she wants this weighted blanket and the comforter.
Which is thin.
And then she wants socks. It's weird. Like she's hot, then she's cold. Mm-hmm. Then you got to put socks on. And then when we wash the sheets, we always find a pair of socks. Anyway, so it's weird. So,
don't tell all my business.
But I'm getting in your question. Mm-hmm. So when you feel loved when I do your ask.
Yes, I feel love when you do my ask. When you don't, when you don't show that you're agitated with doing my ask. I feel loved when you take initiative and you do extra things that you don't normally do or don't have to do around the house. I feel loved when I'm upset and you just come and you hold me and you sit with me and you don't try to fix it. You just let me be.
Okay. Those are things that I need to make note of to continue doing.
And when you pay attention to things that I like and they just show up.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Take notes. I'm taking mental notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so cool deal. So that's a great thing to do, conversation starter.
Yeah, you see how much fun it can be?
Yeah, so let's get into today's topic, which I don't know which today's topic. I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but I know I want to talk about vulnerability.
Okay, well, that's one of my favorite subjects.
And I know we've talked about vulnerability before on the podcast, but still want to talk about it. I think you can never talk about it too much. Mm-hmm. I just think I've been talking to a lot of people about just connection in marriage. Mm-hmm. And I think I've come to the conclusion that it's hard for people to connect it's hard to establish deep connections with others without vulnerability. I say it that way.
Absolutely. It's like a prerequisite. Yeah. Yeah. And the more vulnerable you are, the deeper the connection can be. So I
the problem, I think, is, if we could call it a problem, but vulnerability is the Velcro of connection. That's the only thing I think of. Mm-hmm. The problem is most people find being vulnerable, even with their spouse, they found that very hard to do. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to do. So why do you think that is? Why do you think vulnerability? So we know vulnerability is important. Mm-hmm. Why is it so hard? Why does the important things have to be hard?
I think, when thinking about vulnerability, it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Because vulnerability, like real, true vulnerability, can be very scary for people. Because I'm allowing you into my deepest thoughts and fears and, those deep emotions that really sometimes we even hide from ourselves, Mm-hmm. And so when I allow you into that space, I'm taking a chance that you're going to judge me. Mm-hmm. I'm taking a chance that you may be like, wow, this is a lot, and begin to back away from me. When we are vulnerable, it is literally like taking a chance, mm-hmm. Because we don't know, we can't predict what the other person is going to do with that vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And so there's fear there. Mm-hmm. And so, it takes a lot of courage. It takes faith to be vulnerable mm-hmm. With someone. And I think for many couples, we have a level of comfortability or comfortableness. Comfortable. Yes, that word.
That word just whipped us upside the head. Comfortability. Did I do it?
Good job. That there is a level, of that in marriages and in, relationship. There has to be, mm-hmm. For most people, there is. But still, you think about when we first started dating, there are things about yourself that you reserved from me. Mm-hmm. And it took time for you to begin to reveal different parts and areas of your personality to me, mm-hmm. or of yourself to me, or your story to me. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you have to earn that right, mm-hmm. To see that part of me. And I think even in marriage, I know for us, through the years, through different circumstances and, life experiences, we've learned to become more and more vulnerable with one another and trust one another on, different levels, but it's not like an automatic thing. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you show me yours, I show you mine.
So let me stop you before, and I'll let you continue, but I just mm-hmm. want to pull that point out. You said it's not an automatic thing. Vulnerability mm-hmm. is not automatic. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen automatically.
Right.
Okay.
And I think what I feel, and I've seen that trips people up with being vulnerable is that they haven't set that safety net up yet. Like it doesn't feel like a safe space mm-hmm. for me to be that vulnerable. There are some things that I will just give you, because we are in a relationship, we are married, we are doing life together, but there may be a reason why the spouse may be withholding some of that vulnerability. Maybe mm-hmm. that person just has never been really vulnerable and tapped into certain emotions that they have, mm-hmm. Or allowed themselves to experience certain emotions. And so mm-hmm. doing that with you because they've never done it with themselves, mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I just kind of had an epiphany, if you will, but mm-hmm. I think maybe it's not just it. I didn't just have this, but I think that it just recurred to me that I think we were made to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think we're taught how not to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And I think back to like even in the garden, mm-hmm. how the Bible says that they were naked mm-hmm. and unashamed. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until they did something wrong and they felt the need to hide themselves. I think that's where, you know, we're taught, we come here. And I mean, when you think about it as a child, right, you run around naked, and I'm not just talking about naked, but I'm using that as a parallel. Right. You know, it's like there's no shame. There's no shame. There's no if you mess up, it's okay. If you don't have it all together, if your shoes don't match your shirt, or if you say something wrong or do something wrong, then it's like it's you just put it all out there. Right. It's your true, authentic self. And then I think life and culture and society teaches us that we have to be perfect, or we have to live up to this standard. And so I think that's when we really start to hide the areas where society has taught us that we're wrong or we're inadequate in those areas. And I think that's the beginning of, what's the opposite of vulnerability? What would you say?
Shame and fear.
Shame and fear. So that's where shame and fear start to creep in. And so now we're afraid to show our true selves because, and even in marriage, you know, like I say this all the time, it's like sometimes I'm still scared to tell Tanya what I really think about a situation, because it's like, she may think I'm crazy about, you know, if I tell her what I really think or what I really wanted to do in that situation, you know, because of fear of, like you said, being judged and all these things. But I want to make this clear that here's why I say we were built for vulnerability.
You're going to say it.
It's because we were built for connection.
That you said it.
Ain't that good? Look at that, boy. We here. We here.
We're here.
We're built for connection. And like I said earlier, there cannot be connection without vulnerability. You know, and I think that's, you know, when you look at the original sin, it was Adam, instead of him just being vulnerable and say, man, look, I messed up. He felt the need to put his best foot forward and say, you know, I'm still okay. I'm still good. And we still do that. You know, I'm okay. You know, and we, even though we're disappointed, we're hurt, we're heartbroken, we're afraid, we're lonely, we're depressed, we are, whatever it is. And people ask, you know, I saw a video on TikTok the other day, and this guy was walking by, and the neighbor was getting in his car, and he's like, hey, how's it going? And the guy stops. He's like, well, if you really want to know, I'm not doing really well. And he starts to tell it. But when we ask that question, we know we're not saying that to really ask people how they're doing. And when you're asked that question, you understand that people really don't want to know how you're really doing. That's just a greeting. Right. It's a way we say hello. Right. So my point is, it's like, in the society that we live in, we're not expected to be vulnerable. It's almost looked down upon. Right. It's perceived as a weakness. And we're expected, it's like we're almost expected to put on the mask. And I'll say this one last thing and I'll let you go. But I think that's why, you know, this whole thing, you know, the metaverse, I don't know if you know, like that's what Facebook is called, Meta. Okay. So it's like, you know, the more and more people are starting to develop more of a virtual reality and live not like the Matrix or anything, but just like, you know,
kind of disconnected.
Yeah, like your in other words, your Instagram you is more important to you than the real you. And so now everything, your persona, that's the word I was looking for. People are working more on their persona than working on themselves.
Child, that's a world of trouble.
Yeah. And so like if you look at it, you know, like I said, our socialization, is that a word? Socialization? Yes. That's all online. Even now, our money with cryptocurrency becoming more popular. And now it's like everything's going to be, you know, like this perceived version of you instead of not that crypto is not a percent, it is, you know. Anyway, I don't want to get
it. It is intangible.
My point is everything's going to be in this other in this perceived world. That's what I'm saying. So,
yeah, I was thinking when you were speaking earlier, thinking back to like a childhood or to your childhood, or to when you look at a child, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they are without any trauma. They are their most authentic selves.
Yeah.
They say what they feel. They ask for what they need. They ask for what they want. They do not comply when they don't want to comply. You know what I mean? They love you. When they love you with their whole selves. There's no withholding. Right? But how does that change from being a toddler and going through life? You begin to have experiences where people tell you, oh, stop crying. You're a big boy. You're a big girl. You don't need to cry. It's okay that happened to you. It's okay. Just smile and it's going to be okay. No. Hush that up. Don't say that. That's just not nice. And so we train and we teach children how to become unauthentic. And how to not be vulnerable. Because now I can't say how I feel. And it's not that we should be 2-year-olds falling out on the floor every time something doesn't go our way, but we should have the ability and the emotional register to be able to speak when I'm not vibing with this. No, this is not, I don't think this is a great idea. Here are my thoughts on it. How about we look at something? Just being very honest.
Well,
I'm uncomfortable with that.
You know what? You said that we shouldn't be acting like the 2-year-olds and all that, but in reality, we do. Because, like I said, like me, I tend to do the passive aggressive thing.
Right.
If that's not 2-year-old-ish, I don't know what is.
Right. So and I get frustrated and angry and take it out on people
because we don't know how to process that through that. And instead of me saying, when you said that, you really hurt my feelings.
Right.
Or you offended me when you said that. But I'm just not going to talk to you. That's how I'm going to process
But we say that's childish to say when you said that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
You're being childish.
Yeah. Are you being, weak or soft or, whatever.
Yes.
And so I guess that's for me what stops vulnerability for me is first of all, I just don't like feeling that, when it comes up, it's like, I don't want, because I was taught that that's not, and I'm not saying that the crazy part of this, it's not taught to us on purpose.
Right. No.
You know what I'm saying? It's just the way our culture is.
It's the way culture has developed and evolved.
And so when I feel that way, whatever that feeling is, I want to push it back down. And it's just, like I said, it's hard for me to just admit that. And like I said, that's layered, because I'm a man. I'm a Black man. Culturally, based on church, I know this is not everybody, but I'm talking about my personal experience. It's like, you don't have bad days. Everything is, how you doing today? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored of the Lord. Yeah, I am. But you know what? It sucks today. Today sucked. If I'm honest with you, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, but sometimes we're not given the space to admit those things. And then we all walk around then because you don't want to be the odd one out. You just take on those personas, however you want to say it. And, we're all just lying to ourselves. And when in the actuality, when we're all so hurt. And then what happens is, like we're watching this show, what's the show? A Million Little Things, when the guy killed himself and everybody's like, oh my God,
he was the friend that had it all together.
Yeah, I had no idea. He had the great marriage, he had the kids, he was, had the money, he had the business, and we wonder what happened. Well, it's because we don't give each other permission to be, and so even in his situation, he's like, I'm the one that's holding it all together, so I can't lose it. Right. Look, everybody deserves to lose it every now and again. I'm just gonna put that out there. You know what I'm saying? Right, and when I say lose it, I mean, you're gonna have bad. You're gonna have bad days. Right. So you need to find out ways to process that because, and you said something. We were talking the other night, and you were saying that it's like if you don't deal with the emotions, they're either way they're gonna come out. Sure. And I was like, wow, that is so. It's like, so we think we're suppressing them, but they're coming out. They're coming out through an affair. They're coming out through alcohol. They're coming out through drugs. They're coming out through all these things. The passive aggressiveness, overeating. Is that my problem? Is it?
Let's talk about that off screen.
No, but I'm saying it's like, so our point is it's really important that you find healthy ways to process that and deal with that because it's going to come out.
Yes, it definitely is going to come out.
It comes through disease, so ailments
in your body. I want to read a quote before we kind of start wrapping up.
Go ahead.
This is from, one of my favorites, Brene Brown. She says, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It is the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. It is the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. Vulnerability, the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. What are your thoughts on that?
It's like all the things that we aspire to and aspire to be. And I think, and like I said, I think that's how we were created to live. And I think that's why it's such a struggle, because it's like something that we long for. Right. But it's like society has helped us, shaped us into this person these people who can't do that. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you said that, it hit me like, this is why people feel like they don't belong. So you go into a social setting or into a community setting, and whether that's school, work, church, some sort of, social event, but there's, and I feel like it's probably a lot more people than who are willing to admit it. It's like you feel like inwardly, I don't belong. I don't fit with this group. I don't fit with that group. I feel, you inwardly feel like an outcast, very different from everyone else. We are more alike than we are different. But it is those protective layers, the things that get in our way of being vulnerable, that make us think that we are more different from one another than we are alike.
Yeah, I had that experience, as I was just talking to different people, and as I hear these people talk, I'm like, man, they have the same fears that I do. They struggle the same thing I struggle with, and so you think that you're alone and by yourself, but I'm telling you, man, there's so many people out there, and so it's like I think we all just need to be open and honest with each other. And that's why, I always think about, well, I'm not going to talk about that. Well, that's another subject. Okay. So anyway, just before we wrap up real quick, I want to talk about how do we, because our goal is to deepen our connection. So at 20 years married, 24 together, altogether, something like that.
Yeah, close to 25, I think.
25-ish. Okay. How do we ensure that our connection is deeper today than it was then? And how, for the next 30, 40, 50 years, how long we live.
I like that you said we love, though.
There you go. How do we ensure that we keep deepening that connection? So let's give people some tips and tricks to enhance or to be more vulnerable. And then at the same time deepening their connection.
Okay. So, and we have said this probably since almost day one of us starting this podcast and talking about communication and vulnerability, is to talk openly and honestly about everything all the time. Openly, honestly about everything all of the time. Mm-hmm. And the first, I guess, tip to that is when you are talking openly and honestly about everything all the time, always do it from a place of love and respect. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your mother probably told you there's a way to say anything. Mm-hmm. So I can say to you, share something with you that bothers me about you or our marriage or any situation. And if I say it in a very nasty, hurtful way, it's going to have a very different effect from when I come from a place of love and respect. Mm-hmm. Don't withhold from your spouse, meaning that if you're having a feeling, you're having some thoughts, you're having, whether that's worry or I have a great idea, I feel like this would be really great for us, to make this move or this investment or, things like this, like yes, you need to process it and kind of get a grasp of what you're feeling and thinking, but don't withhold that from your spouse. Mm-hmm. Have a conversation with your spouse. Mm-hmm. If you're struggling with something, and I mean anything, if you are struggling with a relationship with another, like your spouse's family member or an addiction or with your kids, have those conversations with your spouse, with them most definitely. If you're struggling with something with your spouse and within the marriage, have those conversations. Mm-hmm. It's just really about communication and talking, and being honest in that, mm-hmm. And I know because we both have done I don't want to hurt, his feelings, or I don't want to hurt her feelings. And so we don't say anything. And then when the desired behavior doesn't change, then there's a sense of disappointment and hurt and resentment and all these things that happen. Well, how are you supposed to know if I don't open my mouth and say something?
And the crazy thing about that is, either way, the potential to hurt someone is there. So even if Absolutely. I tell you that, then I may hurt your feelings in the moment, but now we can work through it and talk, and you can change, I can change.
Right.
But if we never have the conversation, then like I said, if you're not giving me what I need or whatever, mm-hmm. and I go somewhere else and get that, and when I'm having an affair, mm-hmm. well, now I'm still hurting you, probably worse, yes. and not only hurting you, not hurting my kids. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? So right. it's right. like, it's a ripple effect. Snowball. Yeah. I want to add because I know we got to go. This is, we're running and gunning, man. I would say, what?
Nothing. Go ahead. What? I had a song that came to mind.
Oh, okay. I was going to say with the things you just said, also no judgment.
Yes.
You have to create this no judgment zone, and it's twofold. I'm not going to judge myself, because sometimes we judge mm-hmm. ourselves mm-hmm. for like, man, why am I thinking this way? And we ask ourselves that question not to be curious. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Mark Dunwire, the curiosity man himself. Not to be curious, but to condemn ourselves and like, you shouldn't be, don't think that way. You shouldn't be thinking that way. But if you ask yourself that question, it should be, why am I thinking this way? What's causing me that? What is it? Okay? Every time every time Tanya says or does this, I think this way. Okay. So is that about Tanya? Is that about me? So you can go down that path, or maybe you could get someone to help you go down that path. And the other thing is not only a no judgment zone for yourself, but a no judgment zone for your spouse. Allow your spouse to speak. Here's the key word, mm-hmm. their truth. Mm-hmm. So we always say there's your truth, my truth, and the truth. But it doesn't change the fact that even though there's the truth, mm-hmm. my truth is still my truth. And I feel that way for a reason.
Yes.
So you still have to allow your spouse to speak their truth. Mm-hmm. And like, it's not about me. Oh, no, that's not. Okay. Even though that's not how I meant it, that's how they perceived it. Mm-hmm. So I can't change the way they perceive it. But if I want the relationship to work, grow, and prosper and thrive, I can certainly change the way, and I can change how I'm doing or change how I'm saying it. Right. So that way my chances of offending or hurting my spouse are lessened. Does that make sense?
That's good. Yeah.
So that's a couple of things. And, you know, we don't have time to really go into it deep. Maybe we'll do a deep dive.
There's a space where we will do a deep dive. So we want to let you guys know that we have a masterclass coming up. And if anything that we have said on this podcast has spoken to you, or you know a friend or family member who this will benefit, then we want to encourage you to have them to jump into our DMs, leave us your name and your email address, or just say, hey, I'm interested, and we can tell you all about it.
Jump in the DMs.
Yeah. See, that's when we invite people to jump in the DMs.
Is this jump or slide?
Child, probably slide, but
I think if you slide, you're doing something slick. So maybe we do want you to jump.
Yeah, we want you to jump in. Hey, y'all, I'm interested in the masterclass.
Okay, so we gotta go. This has been great. We gotta go though. So that's all we have for you this week. We'll be same place, same time next week. This is Glenn and Tanya Coleman reminding you that
your marriage matters.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.